Hi, Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton here with our weekly update on Judicial Watch's activities here on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and all the social media. Thanks for joining us this week. A lot going on. It's been a short week business-wise because of the New Year's holiday. Happy New Year to you all. But significant in terms of Judicial Watch's ongoing investigations into the corruption endemic here in Washington, D.C., and most importantly, the sham investigations related to Hillary Clinton and her email usage last year. Major developments this week. New emails on, for instance, the Weiner laptop that were classified. Reports that the Justice Department and FBI may now finally be looking at the Clinton email issue and related topics such as paid for play. And plus we have another lawsuit, or two lawsuits we're pursuing about an interesting case, which is a decades-old murder of a New York police officer, and you're going to stay around for that. But first up are the astonishing records we've been able to uncover as a result of, again, Judicial Watch lawsuits, not through Congress, not through the media, but Judicial Watch lawsuits that forced the government to turn over the records. And these records are the Weiner laptop records. Now, you may have recalled from prior updates how we got to this point, but to go over it briefly, back in 2015, once we found out about the Clinton email scam, we asked for Huma Abedin's emails from that email server and other emails that he created, because Abedin was one of the, I think, the only other State Department official to have an account on Clinton's email server. So we've been getting emails from Huma Abedin for some time. And beginning in August of last year, we started uncovering the pay-for-play emails that Abedin had showing communications between the State Department, of which she was the top aide, and the Clinton Foundation as they were taking care of donors to the Clinton Foundation. Outrageous criminality if anyone decided to look. Now, lo and behold, you may recall last year also that James Comey in October announced they found emails that were government emails on the laptop of Anthony Weiner, who had been married to Abedin. We just got those emails last week. And we've gone through them, and I think I told you we got them last week, but we didn't know at the time of the update what was in them, and I predicted to be classified information. Well, it's actually worse than I think many people expected, in the sense that the documents, we were first told there were 28 government records, 2,800 government documents on this laptop of Anthony Weiner, and the FBI turned them over to the State Department to process and turn over to us. Well, now supposedly there were only 800 government records in the end after they went through the review process, of which we're suspicious and following up on. But in those 800 new records, they've got, there were 18 classified records. 18 classified records were on Anthony Weiner's laptop. Think about that. To say that ought to be concerning to any law enforcement official watching in the Justice Department and the FBI. Now, we all know that James Comey and Loretta Lynch and the whole anti-Trump group at the leadership of the FBI and Justice Department was also pro-Hillary and protecting Hillary Clinton. That's why they didn't prosecute her for this, or Abedin for this. But to have this classified information on Anthony Weiner's laptop is, I think, just one of those things that may be a tipping point in terms of public consciousness about just how egregious it was to let Hillary Clinton and Abedin off the hook for their mishandling of classified information. Now, what are the rules on the handling of classified information? Well, it's not supposed to leave any secure system. And if it's on an unsecure system, it's obviously not supposed to leave that. Any government record isn't supposed to do that. Any government record is not supposed to leave a government system without proper permissions. Well, Hillary Clinton thought the rules didn't apply to her. So she kept classified information, some of which was marked classified, others which wasn't, but it doesn't matter because it was classified at the time. It doesn't have to be marked classified to be classified, on her email server. And she and Abedin were sending and receiving classified information on a regular basis. Now, Abedin is married, I think was married to Anthony Weiner, so unsurprisingly, some of this information from Abedin's emails shows up on the laptop of Anthony Weiner. Here's the scandal. There's so many scandals here, it's hard to unwrap, but here's one of the scandals. Comey knew about this last October and did nothing. And the FBI sat on these documents for 6 months. The State Department took another 6 months to turn them over to us. So there has been a cover-up on this. Because you can imagine, if it had been known last year, there was classified information for sure on Weiner's laptop, the pressure to prosecute would have been much more significant. Now that time has passed, the Clinton gang is hoping that everyone forgets, but we're not going to forget. And so what's to be done next? Now, to be clear, even President Trump had taken note of some of this. He tweeted comments about this story. I forget exactly what the tweet said, but he obviously had been following it. I think Fox News did a report on it, and he tweeted something about it. And he also talked about how Abedin had sent sensitive passwords to her Yahoo account, which again was uncovered by Judicial Watch back in September. For these other email productions I've been telling you about. So to sum it all up, there is more than enough information to warrant a serious criminal investigation. And let me give you a little detail of some of the classified information that was on Weiner's laptop, because you're going to be astonished. The classified material included discussions about Saudi Arabia, Egypt, South Africa, the identity of a CIA official. I don't need to tell you why we protect the identities of our intelligence officials. They're doing clandestine work. You don't want the other side to know who they are, that they work for the CIA. It is exceedingly dangerous. Abedin kept this information on in an unsecure location, her husband's laptop. We know what her husband went to jail for. I think her husband's in jail now because of sexual misconduct that was illegal. Information about the war in Syria, Lebanon, Hamas, and the PLO. All of that. So you know why it's serious enough to warrant a criminal investigation. There are 4.5 million people with classified security clearances that give them access to classified information. They all know what the rules are. And they're as outraged as you are if you don't have security clearance to think that Abedin and Clinton have gotten away with it thus far. But the pressure is working because it was also reported that the Justice Department has at least begun to ask questions about the classified information issue as it relates to Hillary Clinton. So they supposedly are interviewing, the Daily Beast reported this earlier this week. Supposedly they are starting to ask questions of FBI agents and Justice Department officials to figure out what was going on with how much classified information was actually being sent around, the decision not to prosecute, and things like that. Well, that's the least the Justice Department could be doing. And I guarantee you, they wouldn't be doing it but for the disclosures by Judicial Watch in its litigation. They know what we think. And certainly the President has been following our work, and he's also been pressuring the Justice Department to do the right thing. He's being told he's not allowed to talk to him directly, which is absurd, so he's forced to tweet, which is really outrageous. I mean, if I were the President, I'd tell the Justice Department to initiate a special counsel investigation. So it's outrageous, but it's good news at least that the Justice Department is beginning to awake from the slumber. And frankly, the refusal to grapple with the fact that the prior investigation was thoroughly compromised. Again, Clinton lunch tarmac meeting, Comey's machinations, Andrew Weissman, the #2 official at the FBI, whose wife had gotten almost well over $500,000 from Terry McAuliffe, a Clinton crony, to run for office in 2015. And then, of course, you've got the FBI texts involving that counter-intel official at the FBI, Peter Strzok, who was involved in all this decision making I'm talking about the classified handling of information. And he's sending anti-Trump texts and pro-Hillary texts. And those texts were being sent just before the FBI found this classified information that they didn't tell us about. They didn't tell us any of the details. And we want to know the details, but for Judicial Watch's litigation. So let's keep the pressure on. And Judicial Watch is going to keep on doing its work. We're not going to rely on the Justice Department to do the right thing. We're going to keep our investigations going. Our litigation is continuing. We're still getting additional Clinton emails that are coming out even as we speak. You know, I think it's really interesting because you can imagine what the Clinton gang reaction is to news that the Justice Department started asking questions about this. It's abuse of power, it's a partisan witch hunt. Of course, the abuse of power was the Justice Department and FBI being manipulated to protect her. And there's other good news, if it's true, but there's a report in the Hill that FBI agents have begun asking questions about the pay-to-play issues at the Foundation and the State Department and such. Supposedly it's being run out of Little Rock, which is good, because the leadership in Washington is thoroughly corrupted. Andrew McCabe, that pro-Clinton advocate, or who's someone who's been compromised, is still number 2 there. So the FBI agents in Little Rock have begun asking questions about this. So will it develop into a real, serious investigation? I don't know, but it's a positive development. So if they're looking into pay-to-play, again, Judicial Watch has paved the way here. You know, I call it the Judicial Watch juggernaut, which is keep on going. And we've gotten these records about Clinton's, the Clinton cash machine at the State Department back in 2014, showing that she and her husband earned about $48 million from speaking fees from virtually everyone who had business, from foreign potentates, China, Saudi Arabia, Russia, $500,000 from a Uranium One connected Russia government front company, all of which was approved by the State Department. They didn't think it was any problem. $48 million. That's a lot for the FBI to investigate, and Judicial Watch has uncovered all the documents there, or at least many of them. We exposed that back in 2014. And as I said, in 2016, despite the stonewalling of Hillary Clinton and the obstruction of justice by her and the administration in terms of keeping records away from the American people and the courts, we uncovered the pay-for-play that was going on through Huma Abedin and Hillary Clinton and the Foundation. Dozens of instances of Foundation donors going through the Clinton Foundation to get favors or seek favors from the State Department. That's a lot for the FBI to be investigating. You know, Robert Mueller has, I think, 16 prosecutors investigating, I don't know what he's investigating, mortgage fraud, whether someone filed a federal form on time or correctly. I mean, being charitable, it's suggesting that he's doing anything legitimate at all. Is the Justice Department going to devote similar resources to the evidently crooked activities of the Clinton cash machine? I hope so. I hope it's not just 2 FBI agents or 3 FBI agents in Little Rock, Arkansas doing all the work. Are we eventually going to get grand juries? We know what a serious investigation looks like, and we should be demanding it. But the Clinton people are outraged that this is happening. And because they're not used to being able to, not control investigations like they did during the administration last year with the Obama administration, Clinton and Lynch, Comey and Lynch, a Freudian slip there. So we're glad to see once again the FBI is following our lead, and the Justice Department is following our lead on these issues, and we just hope it's not another scam investigation. Because the danger is, and I want to be positive, but we also have to be realistic, is they could be just going through the motions to make people like, to make the president go away and seem satisfied, and to make Judicial Watch go away. Well, A, we're not going to go away. We're going to keep on asking for documents and wondering why there isn't any justice until justice is met out. But it's significant developments, nevertheless. And none of it, I'm convinced, would have happened. Look, we wouldn't know about the Clinton emails but for Judicial Watch. You know, I know we have many new viewers to Judicial Watch who haven't known about us before. But to just give you background, it was Judicial Watch who uncovered the Clinton email server. It was our FOIA litigation that forced it out. Our Freedom of Information Act litigation. It was, I think, specifically on Benghazi and these Clinton cash issues that forced the State Department to own up to the fact there was this Clinton email server that they had hidden from us for years. So it's a great testament to the commitment of one group, Judicial Watch, in terms of changing the course of history. But we got to still get some justice from the Justice Department and the FBI. So there's some good news in that regard this week. I don't want to overstate it, but the fact that Clinton people are screaming is an indication that we should be hopeful. So a lot there, and more will be coming. As I said, more Clinton emails are coming out. I think we'll have some good news there I can announce next week in terms of the timing of the release of these records. And things are moving in a way that is more positive than it was, for instance, 2 weeks ago. And I notice also currently that Congress is finally getting a little traction by threatening the Justice Department, which is kind of outrageous that it has to come to this, to get documents about Fusion GPS, a shady dossier that Hillary Clinton created to go after Donald Trump that was evidently used by the FBI and the Justice Department to justify spying on the Trump team, and may still be being used by Mueller himself. So a lot of walls seem to be crumbling. And of course, we've got litigation on this and battling the FBI and Justice Department on all these issues. As I said, I think we have 25 lawsuits on the Clinton, Obama, FBI, DOJ scandal as it relates to Trump and protecting Clinton. So I guarantee you there's no one that has numbers of, that comprehensive an investigation going on as Judicial Watch does, not even up on Congress. We're doing more than any one committee is doing, that's for sure. So we'll keep at it, and we'll keep at it with your support. You know, this is an interesting case because even though it happened, the death of this police officer I'm going to talk about happened back in 1972, it's still a current event in the sense the case is unsolved, and it relates to, some of the corruption issues we've been talking about right now, either A, the war on the police by certain ideologues, and FBI malfeasance or incompetence. So Philip Cardillo was a New York City Police Department officer. He and his partner received an officer in distress call back in April of 1972. And it was at a Nation of Islam building. It was specifically Nation of Islam Mosque No. 7 in Harlem. And Louis Farrakhan of the Nation of Islam, he had an office there. So they go rushing in thinking there's an officer in distress, and they're essentially met by a group of men, both on the floor they entered, and Navarro, Cardillo's partner, ran up the stairs, and he was met by 10 more men up the stairs, and he was pushed back. Other officers arrived, and a battle ensued. And Cardillo died several days later from the injuries he sustained from the altercations. So it's a murder investigation. Now, the information we have, and this has all been uncovered thanks to the diligent investigative reporting of Judicial Watch investigative reporter, senior investigative reporter Micah Morrison. Mike has been following the story for years. As you might imagine, the rank and file of the New York City Police Department are very interested in getting this case solved because I think it's the only unsolved police murder in New York. It looks like, based on our information, the FBI may have had a informant in the mosque, and we think maybe that the FBI informant or someone associated with the FBI made that fake distress call that caused the officers to arrive at the mosque, the Nation of Islam mosque. So we've sued both the NYPD and the Justice Department for records about this. We want their we obviously want, we have a broad request for a lot of the records. We want the audio of the call. And the response is, well, it's an open investigation. Well, it's, based on our information, it really isn't an open investigation. It was supposedly reopened in 2006, but we have information that makes us believe it's not, nothing's happening on it. So there's this, we just want more of the information out there. And it's about a police murder. It's about the Nation of Islam and radicals there. And, you know, the FBI's involvement potentially in that tragic situation that led to the death of Officer Cardillo. And it's big news up in New York. I know the Daily News, New York Daily News had a story on it. The New York Post has covered it. But it's one of those cases that no one else would really pursue but Judicial Watch. So we have these major big cases on Hillary Clinton, on Donald Trump, on Barack Obama, but we also have these cases that are maybe smaller, but in many ways no less important, where we're trying to get justice and trying to get information to educate the public about the murder of a cop. That happened, I think I was 4 years old at the time. So I'm really proud of this lawsuit, or these lawsuits, and I'll keep you updated as to whether we get the information there. You know, I encourage you, and if you're not already supporting our work, to support our work. Frankly, I don't do this enough. Because there's no one else that does the type of work that Judicial Watch does. And as I said, we wouldn't know pretty much everything we do know about so many scandals. You name it, Benghazi, Fast and Furious, the IRS scandal, Clinton email scandal, you name it, but for our work. We've got these big cases, as I pointed out before, against San Francisco's sanctuary policy. That's a major lawsuit. We're suing to protect our nation's elections from fraud in California and in Kentucky and in Maryland and maybe some other states in the near future. So I encourage you, if you don't know already about Judicial Watch, to find out more and support our work. And those who are supporting our work, you can see we're making significant progress. We have to do it, because if we don't do it, no one else will. So thanks for your viewing our report this week, and we'll see you next week. Have a wonderful weekend.